In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use the bobbin winder on the Janome M17. Hi, I'm Kim Jamison Hurst of Chatterbox Quilts, and I want to show you how easy it is to use the bobbin winder and some tips for using it as well on the Janome M17, and of course this applies to some other models as well. Now the first thing I want to say is only use Janome bobbins. Do not use generic bobbins, okay? Janome bobbins will look like this, or they could be pink, or they might be clear. Those are the colors I'm familiar with anyway. And so if you are using Janome bobbins, everything's going to go great. If you're using some generic bobbins, like I said, don't do it because it's only going to cause you problems. All right, enough said. Let's take a look at the bobbin winder on this machine. So it is an onboard bobbin winder. It's on the top underneath the lid. And I'm using this pink thread today, so hopefully you'll be able to see it well as I move through the steps here. Now the first thing you want to do is get your bobbin on the bobbin winder. Okay, that's where it's going to go. And you'll notice, you probably can't see in this video, but there's actually a threading diagram on the back of the top here that flips up. But there's other ways that will tell you where you should be running your thread through before it gets to the bobbin. So let's take a look at some of these areas here that are actually thread guides. Now you're going to see there's a couple of number 2s there. Well, which one do you use? Well, they're actually color coded. So you can see this one's gray, that one's just on the white background. So there's a gray 2, there's a gray 3 as well. So that's going to tell me I'm going to use this number 2 here to get my thread through, and it's going to go around 3, and then it's going to head over towards the bobbin winding area. The other number 2 is what you're going to use to run through and continue through to thread your machine. So now that we know that, let's take our thread, let's get it in that number 2. It just slips underneath and up, so it's going to keep it in place there in that thread guide. Let's go through number 3 as well. So you're going to come in and around, and you're going to make sure you give it a little bit of a pull, and I can see it's coming off my cone there. Of course, you don't have to use a cone. That's just the type of thread I usually use. And then I'm coming in from the back towards the front, and I'm going to wrap this around about 4 or 5 times, okay? And then I want to take that thread down into one of the slots on that bobbin holder there, and what those are, they're actually cutters. There's 3 of them, I believe, on the bobbin winder. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a pull, and that will cut my thread off for me, and I can just discard that, of course. So now my bobbin is all set up and ready to start winding. So how do I do that? Well, you'll see there's a little arm here. I'm just going to push it against the bobbin. And then there's a button here. It has a bobbin on the top of it. I wonder what that means. I bet it means it's going to start winding my bobbin. Now, if I want to stop the bobbin winding, I can just push the button again as you saw me do. If I don't want to wind the whole bobbin, I don't have to, right? I can just stop at any point. And I often do this. If I'm just doing a small part and I'm using some kind of color thread like this, that isn't typical to what I would normally be using in most of my quilting. I don't want to wind up the whole bobbin on there and have all that thread on there that I might not use very often. So you can also stop at any time you want by pushing that bobbin button there. But if you do want to wind the whole bobbin, you certainly can, and you don't have to worry about it over winding, because once it's wound, I should say, enough, it will kick back this arm and it'll stop winding the bobbin, okay? So let's just assume that we finished winding as much as we want to on this bobbin. Let's pick up that bobbin, and we want to cut our thread. Now you probably can't see that, but there's another thread cutter just off to the edge here. So I'm just going to pull it around that, and it just cuts my thread. And I've got my bobbin wound as much as I want to wind it. All right, so you can actually wind your bobbin while you are stitching on this machine. I've never known why people want to do that, but it seems to be an appealing feature to some people. So I could be winding my bobbin away, and I could actually be stitching, because as I pointed out earlier, there are different thread guides for when you are going through the needle. You know, you wouldn't be using the same number here as I was, or still am, as if I was going to be winding another bobbin, okay? So I could have my thread for my bobbin over here, let's say, and then of course I would put my thread over to the appropriate guide, and then I could have my other thread here that I've actually wound down and put through my needle and be stitching away if I want to. I typically wouldn't do that, but if you really wanted to, you absolutely could. All right, so I hope that's helped you if you've ever struggled to wind your bobbin on the Janome M17 or perhaps on another model. So next time you want to wind just a bit of thread, remember you can do that on this machine. You do not have to wind the whole bobbin up. You can just wind a little bit, stop it at any point in time, and then you're good to go. Thanks for watching today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up. And remember to subscribe and hit the bell so you'll be notified the next time I release a new video. And for more helpful quilting information, be sure to go to my website at www.chatterboxquilts.com.